Hello and welcome to part 2 of ABAP uh, ITAP internal table to XML uh, Excel creation video. In this session, we will be actually going through execution of the program that I have created. I will just walk you through the program, okay, uh, and we will just go through the actual coding that I have done, okay, so that you can understand how the coding works. I will walk you through the first thing by executing the program and showing you how the Excel are created, and finally I will actually walk you through the actual uh, the actual program, okay, in our system now, and look into the code how we can actually go about doing this whole program, and I will explain you line by line how we can go ahead and create our Excel file. Okay, so let us now get into the system.
Let us now see our program works. I will just show you how the program works first, and then I will show you how we have developed this program. So a program that will be working is that you can actually give any of the file name that you want to go and fetch the data from and save it to an output in a file. And I am also showing you one default table from Mara. I am just picking up a few of the fields there, because many of the times we will not be taking exactly everything from one table. Rather, we join it and then we create our output table, which is an internal table that we need to just go and convert it to Excel. That case, we will have to just use the logic that I will be showing you in a moment to use this default table. Now, what we can do is we can actually go and select Mara MSEG also from here. Any table that you want to go and see, if you give this, it will give you all the table list there, uh, which is by standard, or for that matter, if you have anything Z table also, you see there are some Z tables as well. Okay, I am just taking that. Okay, let me go to MSEG table and create it. Now when I execute this, as you can see, it says TMP MSEG XLS is downloaded successfully. Now let us go and see the file that is being generated, and this is the file in my temp folder, which we will now see how this is the data is exported. And you can see the data has been exported with all the material details there. Okay, all the columns will be considered. Now the second thing that I want to show you is the default table. Okay, now default table is, again, you see it is now taking and saying ms underscore mara.xls is been downloaded. Let us go and see the Mara table. And even though I am taking it from the Mara table, you see it is just 4 of the fields that I am just taking: material, number, created on, created, and the unit of measure. Okay, now let us go and see how this is being developed. To start with, I will show you the main program. Okay, let me make it a bit bigger so that you can see. Okay, and my main program has two includes that I will walk you through soon. I have created a field symbol of type table. This is for the dynamic table that we will be creating, and allow data reference is needed to actually just link this internal table to that data. Okay, and then I have XMLX class that will be actually an internal local class that I have created, which will actually create the XML for us. XML Excel for us. Okay. Now three parameters as usual we have seen: table name, file name, and default I am giving something. Now at selection screen on value help for file name, I am just going and using CLGUI frontend service to open the file dialog, which will allow me to select only .xls files, and that I am assigning it back to my parameter. Now the actual thing starts from here, and I have created one routine that will select the data and save it to Excel. Now how it is being done is, in case of a default value, right? In case of default value, I know that okay, I have to select is from the Mara table. Okay, I am just selecting few of the fields from the Mara table and then passing that field with the structure to my um, the class that I have created. Okay, local class that has got a create XML Excel method. I will walk you through that in a moment. In case of a dynamic table, we need to always create a data of type reference, and the type reference that I am actually referencing it with the file name, the table name that is being selected by the user, and then assigning this dereferenced value. That means the value of this particular table to an internal table. Uh, and that internal table is again a field symbol because I don't know what would be the structure for it. So that is the reason I have selected a GTI tab as a field symbol, which is of type any table. Then finally, we just select the data from that selected table into our internal table field symbol up to 10 rows, and then pass that table back to the my class method create XML Excel. Now the whole jugglery happens in this XML Excel uh, class that I have actually created, and that class is a separate include that I have created, two uh, which has two public method. One is the get instance. I am doing it get instance because every time, no need of going and creating a different object and then destroying it. This is a singleton that I am using here, a singleton pattern to get the instance, and this is a kind of static method that will be called, and one public method to create XML that we were calling from our main program. Now how does this work is that first, and of course there are certain variables that I need to go and create. First thing is I need SOI uh, as a type pool. I have created, when you want to create an XML file, it will always be converted to a X string of 255 table. For that I have actually created this GTXML, and this is one again structure that I have created to get the data from data element and the corresponding header from the DD04T table for the text table to get the heading. Okay, and then few of the data objects that we need to create, and if you see most of them, they are of IF interface IF underscore iXML, iXML document, element, and attribute. Okay, these are the interfaces that we will be using in order to create our XML Excel file. Okay, then I have created few constant for my styles because we need a formatted Excel, and for that we need, as you know, that we need to actually create a style for each and every um cell that we want to use the style with. Then the type of the cells that is also needed. I am considering string for the normal character field, number for the numeric field, and date for the date field. There is also a time field that you can actually go and uh, write your logic for. There might be other different types also that you can actually go and include in this type as well. Okay, in case of error, I am not going and defining it on the fly, but rather using a structure as an error message that I can actually pass back. Finally, I am using a list header count of sheet that is being added. You can actually go and add multiple sheets to your column one after the other in your Excel file. That is also doable. So this gives you the whole new idea of how you can go and keep on creating multiple uh, sheets, worksheets or multiple tabs in your Excel file. So I leave it up to you how you can go and use this technique to create a really good looking uh, Excel file, as you might have seen, with colors, di different fonts, different sizes and everything. Okay. Then other than that, I have a few private methods, and first one is the create field catalog, and these are all Excel related methods that I have created to initialize the Excel, create the style, create the border, print the data. Then print data will actually write the header fields as well as the data fields. Then create worksheet, create table, create column, and then add the create a row and add a cell value. So all these things are all XML based. We will go one after the other in it. Okay. Now first thing that we call is the create XML Excel method, and we pass the structure as well as the uh, data in it. Okay, so with that structure that we are passing in and the data that we have, we are creating a field catalog first, and that field catalog is nothing but what fields that we have to export is something that will be created, on the fly. Now what does this field catalog does? This field catalog will actually read the the data that we are passing, and it will give me a table description object, and using that table description I can get the line type, and this will give me the structure of that particular internal table that is been coming in. Now this internal table I'm using this, I'm not using the uh, reuse ALV field catalog, that FM I'm not using. I am using this class to actually go and get the table description. This is very easy to work with, and get the table line type that will give me the structure here. Now this structure will always have a, all the components that will be uh, it's an internal table. Components is an internal table that will have the name of the component, the type of the component, and the length of the component. Okay, so this is very easiest way of actually going and getting any of the any of the internal table structure. So I've got this internal table structure, and that I'm filling the field catalog using that component, and I am filling up field name, output length, type, and length. Now I don't have I have the field name, but I don't have my heading for the field name, right? I cannot directly use the field name there, because the end user will not be knowing what BUKRS means. So we have to give a proper field name there, which is nothing but a company code that SAP has. So how we can go and fetch the heading, and those heading, as you know, are always stored in the data element creation of it. So all the field that has a data element, that will be going, and we will be fetching it from the data element. And where data element is stored, it is stored in DD03L for the data element. Okay, so if I am passing the structure, I am just going and getting the table name, field name, the data element name, and the table type from DD03L to get my data element details. And using that data element details, I am actually going and fetching the text which is stored in DD04T table by combining these two with a join. Okay, and once I have it, finally I am just looping the already created field catalog, reading the field name, and then for that field name, if based on the field name, I am just passing back the header text, the data type, the length, and the data element name. Okay, this is how I am just creating my field catalog. Now my field catalog is ready for me. Using that field catalog, now I can go and select, print all the thing that we need. Now once the thing is created, I am just checking whether the field catalog I am able to generate, yes or no. Only if the field catalog is generated, then only for me it makes sense to go and actually create the Excel, because now I have the structure with me. If I don't have the structure with me, I will say that the field catalog cannot be determined, okay, and pass the value back to the calling program. Now the actual logic starts here to create the Excel. What we do is we initialize the Excel file first, then we print the data in the sheet. We are just creating one sheet, but you can create multiple sheets. I will show you where the sheet name has been added so that you can use it if you want to add multiple sheets. And then finally, if we have added the sheet count, if the data is there, and if we have added the sheet count, if something goes wrong, I am just adding a blank sheet to the worksheet and I will say no data found. If we are able to successfully print the data, final step is to save the file in the Excel file and pass the success message back. Now let us understand step by step on how we can create the Excel. First thing is Excel initialize. So how we initialize? We initialize our XML using the CLI XML has a create method, which is a static method that you can create to create your Excel object. Now each Excel object has a document attached to it. Every file that you open, you consider that as one document in Excel, right? So if you are opening two files in an Excel, one object of Excel is opened, but you are able to actually create multiple files in it, and those multiple files are nothing but documents in that particular Excel object. So add a document using that particular thing, and you see I'm using a create document method to add the Excel document. Now Excel document will have workbook, and those workbook will have worksheets. Okay, so that is how it goes. How it goes is it will always have Excel. Excel will have the documents, which is nothing but our file. Each file will have workbook object in it, and that workbook can have multiple worksheets inside that workbook. So that is how Excel works. Now how we go and create a workbook? Again, with that document, you create a simple element and you say the name of the element is workbook and the parent is my document. Okay, now that workbook, when you create it, should go with certain values that we need to pass. First thing is XML NS, the namespace, which is this namespace. Okay, spreadsheet. Okay, second one that you have to go and add is the schemas, that namespace that you have to declare, and that declaration is done using the name as SS and preface is XML NX. That means ss.xmlns will be actually added to that document attribute. Okay, once that XML attribute is added, created, you can go and add it to your workbook using the set attribute node using that particular object. Sounds bit difficult to understand, but remember, it is very easy, guys. You have a XML document, XML object, and in XML object you have a document, and that document you have to create a workbook by passing the parent as the document as the parent. So you are actually creating a workbook in a document, and that workbook will have a XML-NS attribute that you are setting here, and then you have to set other attribute, which is nothing but by creating a namespace declare, where it will have name as ss colon XML-NS with this particular URI. This is the Microsoft Office spreadsheet Excel URI that we have to pass. This is how Excel understand that this is the Excel file, and that you have to set it to your workbook. Okay, you are setting up another one. Similarly, you have to again create one more as a spreadsheet and the Excel. So this is the spreadsheet and this is the Excel object that you are actually registering both of them to your workbook. Okay, once these two are done, then you can go and create a document name, and that will be in your workbook. So simple element you create, and the name of the property you can give anything. I am just giving ADV, whatever you want to give, you give, and you have to also add a name of author with your user ID. Okay, I am getting it using the get technical username. Okay, and then once you have actually created your workbook, the main thing that you need to understand is that you have to go and create the styles, because styles are very necessary in order to go and show or create the data in different templates. For example, you need a different font for header, different size for your heading, different styles for your numeric value or date value, something like that. So that is the reason uh, what I have done is I have created few of these styles now. Now how the styles are created? Again, the styles are part of document. So you using the document object, you create a simple element and name it as styles. S there, okay, multiple uh, object that styles can hold. Now each style can have one or multiple style in it. Okay, so GO style without an S here. Okay, add style. So you keep on adding the styles, style to all these styles. Now how you add it is you create a simple element, call it as style, and the parent will be the styles here, this one. Okay, the main object of that will hold multiple style. Now that style you create a name, and I am giving the name as report head. Then I am creating a format using a create simple element, and the format is nothing but the alignment. The alignment set attribute will actually set the property of this particular element, and the property that I am setting here is horizontal, the value is left, vertical, the value is top. So top left alignment I am defining here. Similarly, I am defining one more attribute, and that is called font, and that font has the one more element called font, and the attribute has font name. I am giving Tahoma, size is 14 and bold is true. So my report style, the report head will always be shown in 14 Tahoma, 14 size with bold value and left top alignment. Okay, similarly I have gone and created for the header. Now for the header, again the alignment is center. Okay, for the horizontal, so it will be aligned as a center one, and the font is Calibri 10 character. This is 14, this is the size is 10, and it is also bold. Apart from that, I am also defining one element called interior, and all these elements are predefined by Excel, guys. Okay, so you cannot use interiors or color name here. No, you have to use interior only. And if you Google, you will find out, or if you go and right click on any of your Excel with any of your thing and open it in your convert it to XML, open it in your notepad, you will get all those elements. Now interior will always give the background color, and that background color I have defined it here. Okay, this color hex you can find it on Google also, and the pattern is solid, so it will be solid of this particular color. Then I need a border to it, like I need a border. So to create a border, again it we'll have to create a border in your parent style. Okay, now this is not styles, this is the style that you have already created on top, right? The report head. That report head, for that report head you have to go and add a simple element called border. Now in your style you are adding borders, and in that borders you have a border. Okay, this is all Excel given elements that we have to use. Borders will have border with left as continuous, top as continuous, bottom as continuous, and right as continuous. So I am giving left, top, bottom, and right. All the four corners I am actually giving as a continuous with weight as 1. So it will actually create a border against that particular uh, style that I have created. Okay. Similarly, I have gone and created style for my column header. The default style, default is again a default one that Excel will use. If you don't pass any of the uh, style, this default style will be taken, and it is like Calibri with 10 character. Okay, similarly I have used default number, default date, okay, something like that. You can go and create as much as you want these styles depending on your requirement. Okay, now once these styles are created completely, you go back and now your Excel is initialized. Now the next step is to go and create your data in it. Now we have just created so far the Excel object and created the document object in the Excel. We have created a workbook in that document, but we have not yet added any sheet. Okay, we have just created the document, the workbook, and therefore that workbook we have just gone and created few of these styles. Now the next step is to go and add a worksheet. And to add a worksheet, it is pretty simple. You should have a sheet name. I am saying data here as my sheet name, and create Excel worksheet will actually go and create the worksheet. Here I'm just taking one more extra validation that if the sheet name is not provided, then you create data with something. If you are provided, then you use it. Now to add the worksheet, worksheet will always be added to your workbook, guys. Remember, again, I'm reiterating, Excel object will have document, document will have workbook, and workbook will have worksheet as well as the styles in it. So that is the reason in the worksheet we have added the style, and now we are adding the worksheet to workbook here. So again, that document, create simple element, name would be worksheet as it is upper lowercase. Remember this point, all the things that you pass here are case sensitive because as Excel has defined it that way. You can, if you use capital S here, nothing will work out. Okay, so worksheet you are adding to a workbook, and you are setting the name property of that workbook to the name that we have passed, and just I am just adding whatever it is. Now the sheet name I have worksheet I have added. Now worksheet I have to display the data in a tabular form, and that is the reason I have to go and create a table for it. And how I go and create a table? Table will be created inside a worksheet. You are now getting the gist that workbook has worksheet. Now worksheet, every worksheet will have a data. That means every worksheet should have a table. And that is the reason you are going and adding the table to your worksheet. Again, the same code, geo document, create simple element, name would be table, and the parent will be worksheet. And what attribute it has? It has full columns and full rows with a prefix of X and passing the value as yes for both of them. So full rows and full columns will be added as a table for us. We can actually go and actually mm, add the number of columns as your number of columns that you have to display. So count of your GT field catalog lines, the number of records that I could have used here also. Okay. Now once I create the table, okay, the second part that we are going and doing is we are going and creating the columns now. And you see create columns, what I am doing now, we have created the table, and in that table I have to go and create different columns in that table. Columns, table will always have columns and rows. So columns I am just going and creating. I am giving a width to it using some 90 as a value. You can use whatever suits you. And I am also saying auto fit width is true. Okay. Now this I am doing how many times? The lines of GT field catalog. So how many number of columns that I have to go and display, that many columns I am going and adding using this do and undo loop. So that many columns are now being added to our geo table. Okay. Now once I have added the column, the next step is to write my field header and then my field data. So for field header, I am just creating a style. First thing is I'm writing the report title and GV report title that I have already added up. As you can see, somewhere I have actually gone and added the GV header here. My report name is the structure that I am passing, data export is my GV report title that I have actually gone and added to. Okay, and with that header I am just selecting my type as report header type, and this is again the constant structure that I am using here. No need to always go and type it here. You can create it one time as a structure and then use wherever is needed, because I always want to actually use it in my code. So no need of going and creating. So if you want to change the report, the style, you just change it in one place and everything will work. Okay. Now since we have already gone and created our columns, now to write the data we always create row, and in that row we will create the cell and add the value. Okay, that is how it works. So create Excel row is again, now you see table, for the table we have already created the column. Now I am creating a row, and that row is added to a table. So my first row is now being added to my table, and in that first row what I am writing, I have to write Excel cell value. That is the method that I will be calling, and I'm passing whatever data, whatever value that I have to pass in. Now if you see the Excel header, okay, it is defined in as type any type you can take in. So it can be data, a date, numeric, whatever value. So it is taking any type. Now when I come here, I am just defining if my number format that I have to pass is initial, then I am using the string type. Otherwise, whatever number I am just defining there, that will be used. Okay. And then if we have a numeric value, then I am just moving the minus sign to the start of the value. This I am just moving it, the minus sign in front of the value in case of numeric value, and finally adding the cell. Now this is again cell we have to add, go and add now where? Definitely to the row. So you understand the whole hierarchy of how it is been created. So table will have columns and rows. Row will also have the cell that we need to add. So you cannot go and add a row if you have not defined your table. So again, just for you to understand it correctly, XML object will have document will have your workbook. Okay, workbook will have worksheet, worksheet will have, sorry, workbook will have your worksheet as well as all your styles. Worksheet will have a table, table will have a row and column, and each and every row will have cell attached to it. Okay, now row, you always add a cell, and that cell will have a style ID that you have to go give the style ID, and then it will also have the data that you are passing. Okay, and create simple element data to your row. Now two things that you are creating a cell to that row, and you are creating data to that particular cell. You see, row will have a cell attached to it and cell will have data attached to it. So always you have to create a cell inside a row, and that cell will have a style, and that style you will pass whatever style you want to use. And if you once you create that cell, you create the data in it, and the data will have the value, which is nothing but the type. And here you see data, the value is nothing but the cell value that I am passing, and parent will be geo cell. Now I am using this merge across in case of my report header, because I want to just show you that okay, merging of the cells can also be done, and is actually done to that cell where how many number of columns you have to merge. Merge across is the name that you have to add to your attribute of that particular cell, and how many number of columns it will be adding. So in my case, it is number of columns is the number of lines, means 14 here. Say for example, I have 14 columns to print. It is zero based. Okay, so I have to add one, subtract one from it, and then if it is more than one, then I'm just adding it here. So those many columns will be merged here. Okay, and now once that is done, the column header I am doing the same way. Again, create an Excel row, select the style as the style header, not the report head, the style header, which will be of with blue color. As you might have seen, we have given the style header with the interior as the color there, with Tahoma with bold, 10 characters there. Okay, not Tahoma but Calibri, 10 point bold with blue background. And then I'm just looping the field catalog and just defining what is my field value that I have to go and pass. Here I'm just taking, if I have the value for my domain value for my header text, if nobody has maintained it there, then I'm just passing the field name. So one of the two will be actually gone and added there. And this Excel we have already seen, add cell value, it will just go and add using this particular style now that we are actually using. Okay, now once this particular Excel header is been done, this next step is to write the field data in it. And field data, I'm just passing the return the data that I've got. And here what we have to do is we have to just go and loop at that data using thing, and then since I don't know the field name, right, so I always have to go and use my field symbol. That is the best way of doing it. So for each and every data, you are creating an Excel row, and then for all your fields in your GT field catalog, you have to just assign the component of that field name. You will get the value. If the value is assigned, check whether the data type is date, currency, or if others. In my case, I'm just taking three of them, is the character, currency, and others. Anything else, I'm just considering other, but you can actually have your own other logical conditions here to cater different data types. Okay, now if it is DATS, then I am just converting my date string and assigning it that date string to my date value. How I am converting? I am converting it to DDMMYY format with a slash in between, and that I am assigning it back to my value. If it and my GV style will be default date style, and the number format will be string. Similarly, my currency, the default type will be default number value, and the cell type will be number. And for all other thing, I'm using string. Finally, again adding the Excel value using the value that we have defined, and this loop will continue for each and every column and for each and every record in the loop. Okay, once this is done, finally we have actually gone and created our data, and final thing is to save. Save is pretty easy. You just convert whatever you have already written in your iXML object using the factory stream factory. Okay, so how this works is you have a interface called IMS XML stream factory, and that will actually have a IML XML O stream and renderer. Now how it works is you just have created a GT XML, and that is the reason you might have seen I have just created with 255 raw string X string type that I am using here to create my GXML, GTXML. So what it does is we have to just create a stream factory from that object, XML object. So this will actually create a stream factory object for me, and using that stream factory object, I will move all the data to my internal table using the method called create OStream to iTable. Okay, OStream underscore iTable. So whatever is there in that particular XML document will be actually moved to an internal table with X string type. Now once we have get the X string type, we have to render and get the actual data. How we will do it is with using the XML create renderer, you pass the LO stream that you have actually attached it to your internal table, and document, what document you have to do, because one XML object can have multiple document. So this document also you have to pass, and that document in our case the document we have created, we are passing it here, and then using the renderer I am just rendering it. So once it is rendered, what will happen, this render function will actually take the geo document that we have passed to your renderer and the stream that we have passed to our renderer and define which internal table that we need to fill in, that it will go and fill the data in. So once we execute this, it will give me whether it is successful or not. You can have a check here also. If it is not successful, then display a message. But if it is successful, then we also get the size of it using the get num return raw. It will give me the size that has been there. You multiply it by 255 because my one line is 255. So this is my raw line, and number of lines will be the lines of GTXML. Finally, using the GUI download, I am just downloading that file by passing the raw, and the file type is bin. Okay, once this has been done, if it is successfully able to do it, I am saying file names downloaded successfully or error downloading the file. Okay, once the file is saved, okay, whatever value you are passing it back, and then that particular our table, our main program will actually display that value there. As you might have seen here, that I am just saying displaying it here. Okay, importing LV message. Finally, if it is ABAP false, I am displaying it as an error, otherwise as a success message. Okay, that pretty simple it was. With that, I will like to stop here. Okay, so I would like to ask you to please do like, share and subscribe to my channel. With that, thank you and happy learning.